Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Offsides and On One, a hockey podcast where we're loud, proud, and probably in the penalty box. I'm your host, Devin Moore, and I'm here to talk all things hockey. And we have a lot to talk about this week. From legendary milestones, emotional returns, and viral TikToks, this week in hockey has so much to offer. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first off this week, I want to sit on my Yinzer soapbox for a minute, and I want to talk about my Penguins. So a milestone reached this week was when Sidney Crosby became the Pittsburgh Penguins' all-time point leader in combined regular season and playoff points with 1,896, surpassing Mario Lemieux for that number one spot last Tuesday night. I just wanted to bring this up because the place went berserk after he scored that point. I believe it was on an assist. But yeah, PPG Paints erupted. And as they should. And on that exact same night, Chris Letang became one of 20 defensemen in NHL history and one of 4 active defensemen to reach 600 career assists. Again, place went nuts. Absolutely wild. It was great to see. And we're spoiled here in Pittsburgh. For sure, 110%. And staying on my Yinzer soapbox, the Penguins were trending on Twitter last Tuesday when Aaron Rodgers was confirmed to be a hockey guy. So basically the Steelers showed up at the Penguins game last Tuesday. The Steelers there included Brett Kitzel, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier, Skylar Thompson, Ryan McCollum, Spencer Anderson, Will Howard, and of course, Aaron Rodgers. And they were all sporting Crosby jerseys. And they got the crowd really fired up when they gathered all of them together and gave the fans it's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. That's just a thing that they do at Penguins games with special guests. But yeah, they rounded up all the Steelers and had them do that. Place, again, lost it. Lid came off PPG Paints Arena. And then later in the week, the Penguins put on a thrilling show against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday night after unveiling their relaunched Hall of Fame and inducting the 2025 Hall of Fame class. This class included iconic Penguins franchise members including Ron Francis, Kevin Stevens, Scotty Bowman, and Eddie Johnston. This whole thing, the whole ceremony, was just beautiful. It was beautifully done. It was so sweet. I was literally sitting here watching it, like holding back tears. Once they brought the big three over to the little like thing that they had set up for a picture with everybody, I was like, oh my god, don't bring Marriott or I am going to bawl my eyes out. But thankfully they didn't. Mario, I believe he was there, but he was not down on the ice for the festivities because the place probably would have absolutely lost their shit even more than they already did. After the inductions they did at the beginning of the game, the Penguins had a pretty big comeback in the third period when they were down 2. Now, were they leading the game early? Yes. Did they blow it? Of course they did. This is Pittsburgh hockey we're talking about. But they came back down 2 in the third period. Chris Letang got him started off with his first goal of the season. It was absolutely incredible. One of those bombs from the blue line. And then Brian Rust scored a beautiful Crosby-esque goal down on his knee to give the Penguins a tie and send the game into overtime. This game also saw the battle of the Latvian goalies with Elvis Merzlikins in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then of course the Penguins had Archer Seelovs in net. It was really good. They both played pretty well, except for in the shootout, I guess, on the Pittsburgh end. I really don't want to talk about that, but you know what, whatever. The Pens lost 5-4 in the shootout. We still get a point. Big deal. I don't really care. And also, I just have to throw this in here really quick. Evgeny Malkin leads the National Hockey League in assists. We are so back, folks. Pittsburgh's back, playing the parade. The Steelers might not be back after what they did on Sunday night, but you know what? Whatever. I'm talking about the Penguins. The Penguins are back. We'll see you in June. That's going to conclude my Yinzer Glaze Fest. And now we're going to get into some news from around the league. So another big moment from this week was Brad Marchand's emotional return to Boston's TD Garden last Tuesday, playing his first game as an opposing player in that building. Marchand was brought to tears after a beautiful tribute video and a long, loud standing ovation from Boston Bruins fans. This whole thing, like, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even remotely like the Bruins. They're actually one of the few teams in the league that really pisses me off. And I hated Marshy for years. Like, loathed him. And I'm still not a big fan of his, especially after what he did to Caleb Jones the other night when the Penguins played in Florida. But that video and the reaction from Bruins fans had me a little emotional. I'm not going to lie. From my viewpoint in history now, obviously I can appreciate Marshy for what a great player he is and how funny he is. But yeah, like me 5 years ago, don't care. Like I don't care how good he is. I don't care how funny he is. At that point, I hated him. I'm still not a huge fan, but I've learned to love him a little bit. I still can't stand the guy, but like I can appreciate him for who he is. But yeah, me 5 years ago, no shot. The Panthers would go on to win this game 4-3, making this the Bruins' 5th loss in a row. Yikes. Figure something out over there in Boston. Another special recognition made in the NHL this week was in Washington, D.C., where the Capitals celebrated Alex Ovechkin's 1,500th NHL game on Saturday night. Every Caps player committed to the bit by dressing up as Ovi in his infamous rat video. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend you go checking that out. Just Google Ovechkin rat video and it'll be the first thing that pops up. But they even put the video up on the LED screens that like line the hallways where the players make their entrances, and the whole thing was incredible. Literally everybody on the team did it. They wore hats and a white shirt and jeans, and the white shirts had the picture of Ovi from the video on it. It was just hilarious, but I thought that was great. And the game that ensued after this was awesome. The Caps unfortunately ended up losing to the Senators 7-1, but this game saw a sort of goalie fight. A scrum broke out at the end of the second period, I believe, where Caps goaltender Charlie Lindgren got involved. After seeing everybody on the ice, including Lindgren, Sens goalie Linus Ullmark made his way down the ice and joined the party. He literally just threw his gloves and was like, well, count me in. He was like, don't wait for me, guys. Don't forget about me. But unfortunately, the refs quickly broke this up, and we didn't get to see a full-blown goalie fight. But it was close enough. And the last milestone reached this week in the NHL was Nikita Kucherov reaching 1,000 career points in the Lightning's 4-3 win against the Ducks on Saturday. I don't really have much else to say about that, but congrats, Cooch. That's all I got for that one. This is a little random one-off portion here, but I wanted to throw it in here that the NHL announced this week that the 2027 All-Star Game will be held at UBS Arena on Long Island. It is scheduled for February 5th through the 7th. So obviously we know there's no All-Star Game this year because of the Olympics. This is the first time NHLers are going to the Olympics since 2014. Thank God the wait is over. And instead of the All-Star Game and the All-Star break, we're going to have an Olympic break that goes from February 6th to February 25th, where there will be no NHL games. And the Olympic Games run from February 11th to February 22nd in Milan, Italy. So stay tuned for that, obviously. You're not going to want to miss it. And with this All-Star Game being over a year away, let's keep an eye out for more announcements to come regarding special events that could take place at the 2027 All-Star Game. Because, they always like to announce things incrementally for special events that happen at the All-Star Games. In other one-off news, the 6'7" guy strikes again. Of course, I talk about him on this podcast every week. So basically, the Blackhawks rookies wore Top Gun jumpsuits getting onto the team plane last Monday, and the pic is adorable. They're all sitting there so cute in front of the plane in their little matching Halloween costumes, until you zoom in a little bit and look at Frank Nazar's suit, and you spot the little 6'7" patches on his pocket. Really, I have nothing to say about that, other than I can't not bring him up every week. It's a problem. Now I want to talk about a few hat tricks from around the league this week. We saw 2 big hat tricks. One from Macklin Celebrini, where he scored at MSG last Thursday, helping the Sharks win their first game of the season. Welcome back, San Jose. You can join the club now with literally every other team in the National Hockey League. But I'm not going to be mean to the Sharks. I promise I won't. But the Sharks would go on to win this game in a ridiculous back and forth manner. Will Smith scored the overtime winner and gave all the credit to the team's enforcer, Ryan Reeves. That is due to, obviously, the Reeves-Rempe fight, which was awesome. That was so cool. obviously didn't work out too well for Matt Rempe because unfortunately he's out with an upper body injury, which we will talk more about later. But just to watch two of the NHL's biggest and baddest enforcers go at it, it was really cool. But Smith was quoted in saying, "It got us all going, and you can't say enough about him." So he gave all the credit to Revo after that big fight that got everybody going. But like I said, Matt Rempe was injured and will not be traveling with the team on their West Coast trip, unfortunately enough. The other hat trick that happened this week happened on Tuesday against the Leafs in Toronto, with Jack Hughes scoring his third career hat trick. The Devils went on to win that game 5-2, and the Devils are on an 8-game winning streak. Unfortunately enough for my Penguins. But yeah, the Devils they're on a heater. They are certainly on a roll right now. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get into the league standings. These are the league standings as of Monday, October 27th at 1 o'clock. So in the Atlantic, we have Montreal leading with 14 points. In the Metro, we have, like I said, the aforementioned New Jersey Devils on a heater, leading the Metro with 16 points. In the Central Division, we have the Utah Mammoth leading with 16 points. And in the Pacific, boo, we have the Vegas Golden Knights leading with 13 points. That's all I have to say about the Pacific Division. I will be talking about them more later because boo. So now, as always, I'm going to go ahead and get into my players and player of the week, this whole little section we do here. The overall player of the week is undoubtedly Macklin Celebrini. Oh, look, she's talking about Macklin Celebrini again. Give me a break. I like him. I like to watch him. He's great. Leave me alone. But there is good reason. Macklin Celebrini scored the hat trick against the Rangers, like I talked about earlier, and racked up 5 points in that game, literally carrying San Jose on his back. But not only did he do that, but yesterday he scored an incredible overtime winner against the Minnesota Wild. He pickpocketed Brock Faber at about the Sharks' blue line, absolutely turns on the Jets at center ice and is gone, and then buries an incredible goal. I mean, it was awesome. He hops on the ice, pickpockets, down the ice. It was incredible. You could tell that whole time the Sharks were gassed. They were over it. They were playing really heavy defense, and he just like, okay, I'm in it. And down the ice he went, and he scored an incredible goal. But yeah, he's going to be my player of the week for those performances, because it was pretty freaking awesome. So, on player watch this week, we don't have a rookie watch this week, because if we did, it would just be Ivan Demidov again, and I didn't want to do that back-to-back, so instead we have player watch. On player watch is Trevor Zegras. Zegras scored twice and added an assist as the Flyers defeated the New York Islanders in a 4-3 shootout. That game ended the Islanders' 4-game winning streak, and he had just some absolute nasty assists in this game. He had this no-look assist to Dvorak from that same game, from that Islanders game. It was incredible. It was like absolutely mind games with the defenders. It was great. And he's been a really good addition for this Flyers team. This is one of the very few times you will hear me giving the Philadelphia Flyers their flowers, but I do have to admit that he was a very good addition to this team. And I hate the Flyers. I'm sorry. I'm a Penguins fan. I have to say that. But I like Trevor Zegras. So I liked him before he was a Flyer. I loved him on the Ducks. Loved him in the World Juniors. Next, we're going to go in with the goalie of the week. And my goalie of the week is going to be Linus Ullmark. This week, he's put on some pretty great performances. He gave us that first-ish goalie fight of the season, and he held the Caps to 1 goal in that game. And he also has shown up really well for the Sens this past week. He held the Oilers to 3 goals on Tuesday and only let 1 past him against the Flyers on Thursday. So, yeah, I mean, he's a great guy, great goalie. Love him. Wish the Boston Bruins weren't so nasty and did him dirty, but whatever, you know. As I mentioned earlier, Matt Rempe was being evaluated, and he is not making the Rangers West Coast trip this week. And next is Roman Yossi. He is week to week, unfortunately, with an upper body injury. That is a huge blow for the Predators. He's like the cornerstone of that team, and unfortunately enough for them, they're going to have to be without him for a couple weeks. It was estimated 4 to 5 weeks. And Patrick Laine is out for 3 to 4 months after surgery. He had core muscle surgery last week. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really look into that to see what that means, but it doesn't sound good. But the surgery went well and he's recovering, but he's going to be out for 3 to 4 months. And then, unfortunately for my Penguins, Rickard Rakell underwent wrist surgery yesterday, I believe. It was either yesterday or Friday. He's going to be out for, I believe, 4 to 5 weeks. So the Penguins are going to be without Ricky Rax, Mr. 6'7", for a little while, unfortunately enough. Okay, so while we're here, I'm also going to go ahead and get into my game to watch this week. For this week, I decided on the Stars versus Lightning game on Thursday, October 30th at 7. So I picked this game because these are two teams with really strong offense. The Lightning are looking to work their way back to the top of the NHL. Obviously, that's been their huge storyline going into this season. But so are the Stars. So I'm just excited to see, could we get a glimpse into a playoff-esque rivalry between these two? These two always play good games. Obviously, they're two great teams, but they really go at each other when they play each other. So hopefully we get a good, strong game. I also picked this because I have a little bias towards the Stars because I just think they're so fun to watch. I mean, their forward depth mixed with their young defensemen, they're just, the team dynamic is really fun to watch. They work really well together, and I think this is just going to be a good game between two former powerhouses in the NHL trying to work their way back up to that status. So yeah, like I said, you can catch that game on October 30th at 7, and that's this Thursday. And now we're here again already. That was quick. There wasn't a lot really going on this week, if I'm being honest, but here we are with the winners and losers of the week. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the winners. So our first winner, and obviously I'm proud of myself for not talking about it already because I almost talked about it when I brought up the celebrating hat trick, but this week's first winner and ultimate winner is Judy Jupiter. If you don't know, Judy Jupiter is a popular TikTok creator that does street interviews in New York City. She's known for her sometimes awkward and most of the time viral encounters with celebrities and everyday New Yorkers, and they're hilarious. I have followed Judy for a really long time on TikTok, and you would not believe the shock on my face when I saw this, but Will Smith and Macklin Celebrity were featured on Judy Jupiter's TikTok this past week when they were in town for the Rangers game. It literally had me crying. I was dying laughing. Please go find this on TikTok. Go find it on Google. I have a picture of it here, but I couldn't insert the video. It is so funny. She literally, she's asking them questions, and some that I have written down here. Well, guess who's performing at Madison Square Garden on Thursday? I was crying. She made them do this spin. Oh my God. They looked like they didn't want to be there, but obviously she asked them. Obviously they agreed to make this TikTok. It had me crying. And then she went on a radio show actually and described the encounter after she asked, and she was like, yeah, I was just sitting at the bar and this hot blonde guy walks by me, and it was Will. And she was like, I gotta get him in a TikTok. And she made him do one in the restaurant. She said they did it twice because the first time he didn't tell her that he was a hockey player. And then after the fact he did. And she was like, okay, well then we gotta do it again. And so she made him do it again. And then after that, Will was like, oh, well, my friend's outside. So she was like, well, shit. And then she went outside and made the both of them do it. That was the one that went viral on TikTok and had me absolutely dying. And she was like, the way that she does these TikToks is really funny because she makes it awkward to make it funny. And she gets really close and she's like, and what team do you play for? And was like, San Jose Sharks. And she's like, and that's in the National Hockey League? Yeah. It was so funny. And then the part where she was like, these guys are some real specimens, like Olympians. I literally crying tears. I saw this TikTok first thing in the morning. I was doing my morning scroll, still sitting in bed before I got out of bed before class. And I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But if only Judy knew they really were Olympians. Imagine how she would react. She was like, and the part where she goes, "Are you guys single?" And they're both like, "Yep, yeah." And she's like, "Oh, not after this, not after my followers see you." I was crying that whole TikTok. But please, like, I'll put the link to it in the description because you need to go watch it. It had me dying. So, anyway, enough about Will Mack and Judy. We're gonna go into our second winner of the week, which is, God forbid I bring him up again, Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar went as Thing 6 and Thing 7 for Halloween. Literally, like, they took the Twitter memes to heart, and they did it for real. The whole costume was really cute. Frank's girlfriend dressed up as Cat in the Hat, and then Connor and Frank were Thing 6 and Thing 7, and I was like, this is just, of course, it was beautiful, it was great. They all looked so cute. I will say, the Sharks still have the best Halloween costumes so far as a team collective, but a lot of the costumes at the Blackhawks party were really cute too. I saw those all on Instagram, but yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything else to say about Thing 6 and Thing 7, but I just thought that was iconic. So that was all the winners this week. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the losers. And guys, it happened again. The lights went out again, but not in Chicago this time, in Calgary. So on October 22nd, the lights at the Saddle Dome went off. Just boom, they're gone. The Flames were playing the Habs, and the game was delayed, and they had to restart the game later with many of the lights still off, including those like over top of the ice. Officials eventually obviously restarted the game, but it was played under really dim lights. They actually, the like LED things that go around like in between the upper and lower bowl that usually have little things on them, they changed that to just like plain white to try and brighten up the place as much as they could, and it did work for sort of the ice level viewing. But from the upper cameras, there's a shot like the picture I have here from the upper cameras that looks so dark. It wasn't that dark on the ice, but from up above like that, it looks that dark. And if I could imagine being in the upper bowl at the Saddle Dome and just being like, I can't see, because they really could hardly see the Jumbotron. They also had some things on the Jumbotron that were just plain white to try and make it as bright as possible. But yeah, the lights never came back on, and it was crazy. I guess they didn't pay the electric bill in Calgary, but hey, things happen, and at least they were still able to play the game. So it's not a huge loser, but pay the electric bill, Calgary. The next and final loser of the week is going to the entire Pacific Division. Boo, you guys stink. I'm gonna get on my Mark Madden soapbox real quick. How many times have I said soapbox in this episode? Whatever. But I'm going to do my best Mark Madden impression and just be mean. Because all of these teams are so bad. They're so bad. Like, what is going on? Why are you all so bad? Why are the Vegas Golden Knights leading the division? Literally, what are we doing? With all that being said, they're fun to watch. But, I enjoy watching the Ducks. I enjoy watching the Sharks. But, like, God. Why do y'all stink so bad? Get it together. What are we doing? I mean, they only have 13 points. Their point leader only has 13 points. So maybe let's figure that out. But on the bright side for the Pacific, Ryan Reeves does, strangely enough, have more goals than Connor McDavid. If anybody was wondering that. But yeah, big guy Ryan Reeves. My GOAT, former Pittsburgh Penguin. I miss him bad in Pittsburgh, but I think we should put him in the GOAT conversation considering he has more goals than Connor McDavid. Ryan Reeves is better than Connor McDavid. You heard that first. That's an Offsides and On One original, folks. All kidding aside, yeah, the Pacific sucks. So if you could please play better hockey out west, that would be super nice. Please and thank you. And that's it for that one. Okay, everyone, so now it is time for the final segment of the show, and one of my favorite parts of the show, Bag of Hockey Cards. And if you're new here, this is a segment where I have a tote bag full of random hockey cards ranging from, I think the 1990s till now, and it's literally just a random assortment of cards. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick one, and we're gonna see who it is. I'll read you the card, tell you the player. If it's somebody I'm not familiar with, we'll go ahead and give him a Google. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm recording this in my bed because it's been a week and it's only Monday. So yeah, I think I found my new setup because this is pretty sick. I literally just am like sitting crisscross in my bed with all my blankets on me. So new recording spot, my bed. Forget about the studio. I'm hanging out here from now on, but that's not important. Let's go ahead and pick a card. All right, so I gave the bag a little bit of a mix. Now I'm going to go ahead and stir it with my hand. Oh my god. This is a banger, folks. This is the week's looking up now. So, fittingly, as I dogged on the Bruins earlier, it's a Boston Bruin. But he, in my heart, is a Penguins legend. He will be in the Penguins Hall of Fame someday, and probably the regular Hall of Fame. It's Phil the Thrill, Phil Kessel. Just, of course it is. This card, oh my god, this is an old card. Well, not really that old, but it's from 2009, 2010. This is one of those victory cards. You guys remember those? The rollback. But yeah, there's also nothing written on the back of this card except for his stats. Probably because Phil the Thrill doesn't need any introduction. Obviously. Yeah, he's the GOAT. The bag has spoken. It's Phil the Thrill. So, gotta love it. Gotta love Phil the Thrill. This is a good one. Now I'm excited. Today's been a day. Today's been a week, in fact, but now that we've got Phil the Thrill here, I think things are looking up, folks. Everything's okay. Alright, so that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week. Like I said, not a lot happened, but the good things that did happen, I tried to cover here. And also, I've been tired all week, so if I missed anything, let me know. Leave it in the comments and share your wisdom, please. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I'll be back again next week, next Tuesday, just like every week, with another episode full of hockey content, recapping the week in the National Hockey League. Go ahead and follow us on all social medias at Offsides and On One, all lowercase, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, obviously. Go ahead and subscribe, like this video, comment. It all helps. Give us a follow on the socials, give this video a like, and let me know if there's anything else that you'd want to hear in this show, because I'm always open for new ideas. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, come back next week for more hockey content. That's all I got. I'm your host, Evan Moore, and that was Offsides and On One.